Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Heather, this is Alter Movement, and today a class on our core. So we're going to get right into this practice. I'll invite you to find a comfortable seated position. Eyes can be open or closed, and we're going to begin with our core breath. If this is unfamiliar to you, I'll encourage you to take a look at the description of this class where you can find a link where there's a specific class all about the core breath, and we'll get started. So begin by tuning into the sensation of the breath coming in and out of your nose. So we're staying with the nose breath. And start to bring your breath into a breathing pattern of a 5 count in and 5 count out. As you're counting the breath, this awareness of how the sensation of the air feels coming into both nostrils and that sensation as the air exits both sides of your nose. An equal count in and an equal count out. And we'll start to layer in this core breath technique. So we'll take a breath in together. And as you exhale, I want you to engage your core muscles to push all the air out of your nose. And at the bottom of the exhalation, once seemingly all the air is pushed out, I want you to draw your navel toward your spine and have this sense that your side waist is getting a little smaller. And then let all of that tension release and feel that sense of expansion all the way around your lower torso, the front, the sides, and the back. Feel up with that pressure of the inhale. Let's try 4 more breaths like this. That exhale, pushing, 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 pushing. If this is still new to you, you might take a shh to help to feel that contraction of your core muscles engaging. This helps to lift our diaphragm up into its resting position. We need to let all of that tension release as we breathe in. You may even place one hand on your chest or your collarbones. So we're trying to keep this part of our body from moving. We're trying to keep this part of us still as we feel lots of awareness and sensation in this lower part of our trunk as we continue to breathe like this. Breath in through the nose, breath out of the nose or out of the mouth, in a way where you sense your core muscles, the back, the sides, the front, all engaging to push the air out. Pause for a moment at the bottom of that exhalation, and then slow breath in. Try one more like this, as a way to, what we might say, like embody this part of our bodies to feel more sensation in the lower part of your trunk. So from your low ribs down into your pelvic floor, into your side waist, into your lower back. Good. And let's from here come on to hands and knees. And we'll just start to tune into more parts of our trunk together. So I want you to think from your shoulders down into your hips and moving your spine in between those two parts. So if you're familiar with your like from a yoga practice, a classic yoga practice where we do our cat-cow motion through your spine, sensation of stretch in the back of your body and of the front of your body while you're doing this. And then let's start to take the right hand out in front of you a little bit farther. Curl your toes under and push your bum toward your heels until you feel a little more length on the right side of your body. And let the weight of your head drop down. And then let's bring it back to center, and we'll try this on the other side. Left arm goes a little farther forward. Bum goes toward your heels, crown of the head toward the floor, and notice what you sense left side body. Yeah. Good, and then from this position, let's bring our forearms down to the ground. And the forearms are parallel to one another. I want you to tuck your bum just a little bit. See if you can maintain that position in your lower spine and just start to sink your chest and your forehead down toward the floor a few inches. And then push those two parts of your body away from the ground. Chest and forehead sink down. And then we push. Good. Try that one more time. Upper spine releases toward the ground, forehead toward the ground. Try to hold a little tuck of the bum. And then we push those parts of us away from the floor. From this position, we're going to walk our knees a little farther back and start to drop your thighs and your hips and your navel, and your elbows are going to spin out to the sides, and we'll rest the whole of the front of the body to the floor. And start to wiggle your bum a little side to side. Now I want you to sense that your chest and your shoulders and your arms stay in a steady position, and now just the lower spine shifting side to side. Bum, hips, lower spine, and legs. We can take this motion a little bit bigger by bending your knees and windshield wipering your lower leg side to side. Good. Good. And then from here, we're going to bring the forehead to the floor. I'm going to keep mine lifted so I don't bounce the mic here on the ground. So my forehead is lifted. Your forehead is down. The elbows are out to your sides, straight out from your shoulders. Palms are on the ground, and start to send your tailbone toward your heels so you feel a little length in your lower back. Maintain that position, and we're going to see if we can lift our palms and our forearms away from the ground a couple inches, but keeping your elbows rooting into the ground. Hold right here. Take a few nose breaths, and then we're going to lift the elbows now to come in line with the forearms. Pull the elbows into your side waist until you feel a little bit more engagement in that middle part of your back. And then tiny lift of the forehead away from the ground. The gaze stays straight down. And take 2 breaths here. Sense that motion of the inhale coming into your lower back and your middle back, the top core, the side core. Hold the position as you exhale. Try this one more time. Breath in. And breath out. To come out of the position, the elbows tap the floor, the forearms lower, the palms lower, the forehead releases down, or one cheek goes to the side. And have a moment. Have a moment to notice which parts of the trunk from your shoulders into your hips you're a little more attuned to and aware of. If you need to wiggle out a little bit and release any tension, feel free to do this. And we're going to do this one more time as a way to set ourselves up for a little bit of a bigger back bend before we get into the meaty, juicy part of our core exercises here today, core movements. So same setup. Legs can be out a little bit wider, tailbone toward your heels. Gaze is straight down. We start with the forehead on the floor. Again, my forehead's going to be lifted, so don't follow exactly what I'm looking like. Good. From here, the elbows are pressing into the ground. The forearms lift, the palms lift, and then lift the elbows and squeeze those elbows in toward your side waist. Hold this engagement. Yes, feel the middle part of your back, lower part of your back, a little bit of the upper back all working together. Plant the palms a little closer toward your chest. Use the muscles of the spine and now the pressing of your hands into the ground to lift you into a little cobra. And then all the way up onto hands and knees and back towards a child's pose. Good. From here, you can stay in your child's pose, or you can rise up into downward facing dog for 2 breaths. And then from this position, we're going to come back up onto our forearms. Onto the forearms, we'll take our elbows a little forward of the shoulders. We're going to curl the toes under, and for a moment I want you to sink your chest and your forehead and your hips down together like we did a little bit earlier, and then I want you to sense that the back of your heart space, the back of the neck, and the lower back lift up toward the ceiling. Option 1, you keep your knees on the ground. Option 2, you start to lift one knee off of the ground and a little tap of that knee back down. Tiny little lift. Other knee, and back down. We're going to have a variety of options. You choose your flavor. Knees can stay down and we come back to our core breath while we stay in this shape. Option 2, we stay with the core breath, right? Nose breath in, pushing all the air out. We start to tap one knee up, The other knee up and down, we go side to side. Option 3, we start to lift both knees away from the ground together, and then we tap both knees down together. And we stay like this. Notice your neck position, if you can keep the back of the neck in line with the rest of the spine. We're staying with our nose breath. Every once in a while, have that other layer of checking in. Are we connecting in? Can we stay with a bit of that core breath breathing, that strong exhale through the nose? Full expansion all the way around the lower torso as you breathe in. Excellent. From here, let's have a moment. Knees down, thighs down. Spin those elbows out to the sides. Take a few breaths here on the front of your body. Feel free to wiggle, again, your lower torso a bit side to side, your hips, your bum. Excellent. From this position, we're going to look down at our forearms, bring our forearms out in front of us, and we're going to cross bring our forearms parallel to one another out in front, right? So I'm going to have my right forearm forward, the left forearm behind that, and we're lifted up into this bit of a sphinx position. So this is going to set us up to come into a side plank on either side. So let's start out in this little back bend, and we're going to lift the thighs, lift the knees, and start to send the knees a little forward towards your elbows. And let's just try this transition. So let's start to transition over towards your left elbow. Towards your right elbow. We're going to send the right shin over to the right side. As we roll over onto the right side, that left leg is going to push straight back toward the wall behind you, and we're going to lift that left leg up. To come back onto both knees, we send that left knee down, left forearm down in front of the right one, and let's try it going here side to side. Left shin pivots behind you. As we come onto the left elbow and left knee, that right leg goes straight back. So try that one more time on each side. A little rotation here. Over onto the side. Knee down, elbow down, left leg pushing straight back. Now I want you to sense into your bottom side waist, right side waist, and start to lift that away from the floor a little bit more, and sense that your hips are stacked. And try to be out of any big back bend here if possible. And then let's go over to the other side. So sometimes we might go into what we don't want, right? Which is kind of the sinking down into the shoulder, the side waist, then the hip. And then try to go into the opposite, trying to keep the hips stacked, reaching out through that top heel, the neck in line with the rest of the spine. Good. One more time. We're going to go over to the right side, last option. So you can do anything that we've just done. Or last option, we're going to see about lifting both of our legs into a straight shape and lifting out of that bottom side waist. And then maybe here, a little bit more of a fiery position as we take that top leg up, and then maybe we drop the hips down a couple inches, and then we push them right back up. And you might try that one or two more times, or stay in a place where you can stay with your nose breath, right? When you're holding steady in one shape. You may even try to bring a core breath into this, that full exhale. Feel back and sides and front core all engaged to push that air out. And then we shift with control all the way over onto the other side. Let's try it. Find your flavor. You can have that first sort of setup, knee down, top leg lifted. I'll show some options here. If you wanted to keep the knee down, but maybe play with a little bit of that hip dipping, we'll try to stay nice and steady in the shoulder. So this sort of from the shoulder pushing out through the elbow, a little bit of a dip, and a tiny lift. Top arm can be up or behind you. Just feel sort of free if possible on the side of the neck. So you feel more effort. Side waist, front core, maybe a little of that top hip. And very connected to the trunk, the pelvis, all the way into the shoulders, which is a part of our theming here this month for our spring session of movement. Good. Let's come all the way back onto our forearms parallel to one another. Either take a child's pose Or lift the bum and lift up into your downward facing dog on your forearms. We'll start to pedal out, one and the other. To end this short class today, we're going to come onto our knees. Stay on your forearms and see if you can, again, move your spine in those sort of cat-cow motions. Get some of that bending and flexing, or back bending and forward bending. Lean into one side and the other side. Just a little more freedom here to move your spine in some ways that would feel good for you today as we transition here from this short practice into whatever we have going next. Let's come up to a seated shape together. Have a moment, bring your hands onto your side waist. I need to change my leg shape. Feeling that in those hips. So find the shape that works for you always. Where is it? Find that. Can be different each and every practice. Hands on the side waist. Eyes opened or closed. Let's end with just a few rounds of our balanced breath. 5 count in. 5 count out. Hands are here on the side waist as that reminder to keep the breath low. Low in the torso, low ribs, side waist, low belly, low back. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today. Kind of feel a little out of it. I was in it. I was in that practice. What do I want to say next? You're amazing. How about that? Good job showing up for yourself today. And if you're curious about doing more movement and breath work and meditation, check the links in the description of this class where you can find more classes like this, more classes connected to what we call seasonal movements and why we choose certain things, certain movements, certain breaths, certain meditations for different seasons of our life and whatever season we might be living in together. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for being here.